house in that direction was probably miles away. Me, my brother Adam, and my cousins Jake and Joe came up with an idea at lunch when our dads were talking about hunting. We wanted to go camping in the woods that night. Dad were on board with it. We were definitely already kind of
You're
drunk,
running
so
out
more
of
likely they
time.
said yes to stuff.
For what?
Mom's
My
words as
scouts
a whole,
located an
they didn't
artifact of
directly say
interest
that.
at the rear of this tomb.
So my dad
Even
went
now
over
I'm
Jim, took
studying
the four of
it,
us into the woods with
learning his
intense.
secrets.
Girl
It
cousins and
seems
sister were
Cordova
not
was rather
involved in
taken
this.
with these
Just up
Zephyr,
close.
perhaps enough to
We
hide
let
the
us into the
holocron
room.
amongst their
And
bones.
Joe, the youngest of us, started to say that we saw it and started laughing. That's how our dads and I would get together, especially when they did. They loved buzzing and bumping kids. Speaking of ages, I'm oldest. I'm older on 13. And the kids were around 10, and Joe was around 2. Just beyond the farmhouse, there was a small clearing that could stop the room and specific stuff that I was able to do to move up to the school. Then he was perfect like that, so I did. My dad and Uncle Jim, and they gave us a rough sweaty vest and started to tent. We made us hug out so that it wasn't just them being hard to work. It was a really big tent, big enough for both people, especially kids. Once it was set up, put our sleeping beds inside. It was during the day, and so obviously we was making it easier in the beginning at night. After all of that, the time took us, they came outside for dinner time. Dinner, and once the chant expressed that they weren't playing with this idea, and we were too young to get in the woods alone. My dad's like sleeping down the phone. So I remember my dad was in the work, and I was expecting us to hear on the screen if something would go wrong. It wasn't until later on when our dad led us back into the woods with the tents. We all had flashlights and extra blankets to just build up. I also brought exactly window cards for us to play. We all got situated. My dad ran over Jim left back to the house. There was something alone in the woods. Honestly, we weren't as close to the house as a thing. We were deep enough into the woods where you couldn't see any light from the house. We started playing Uno for a while. I'd say half an hour at least. Playing Uno was actually a really good time for me. Passed the time really well. The tent was lit up by our flashlights arranged in a circle. All was fun and swelling until we heard a scream in the distance. It sounded like a girl's scream. We all went silent and looked at one another with the same faces. I then remembered that Fox's scream sounded like the scream of a woman. I somehow got Joe up, especially.
Good, this is getting.
Continued to play with them. I actually want my cousins to run out. At that point, no one had ventured to scream again. It was most likely out of all of our minds. And again, much louder, closer this time. This time it sounded a lot more human. The silence. This time even I was freaked out. So I looked at the door of the cloud. And I began to turn the flashlights off. Darkness, focused into the depths and sat in darkness. None of us had the courage to let others be lit back in the house. You know, flying into the streets. Just because of the attention that I didn't have a game to set up that distance. Somehow, moving inside of the cloud and tech felt like the same round. Faded and hearing good sounds. He still whispered amongst us, wondering if this is still the advice. It was truthful, and so I don't know, it's very true. I don't know who heard it first, but we all sprung up and looked at one another again. And we heard very fast footsteps clutching the leaves, approaching the tent. And they stopped. There was an ear-piercing, gut-wrenching scream that sounded like a growl and a different scream. It was right outside the tent. The tent started shaking violently. All of us started screaming. Jake and Jim were screaming in fear, while my brother and I were screaming stuff like, "Get out of the tent." I unzipped the door of the tent. One by one, we all ran into the woods with our flashlights on, and so we could see anything. That going back to the house was the most automatic feeling of my life, like a life with death type of feeling. Made it to the property screaming the whole day. Our entire family was already outside in response to it. All four of us made it back safely. We explained the screams on the tent shaking. We were all shocked and horrified based on their reactions. And I noticed my cousins Jane and Christina and my sister weren't outside. I called out my dad and uncle, saying them sending one of the girls to scare us. And then he showed us that the girls were already in bed. That's when it was clear. The one we did know was out in the woods. Dad's went out to the woods with a couple of rifles. Returned after a while, having found no one. The next day, we all helped to bring in the tent and other stuff back to the house. Obviously, you can guess that was a one-and-done thing. We never kept out in those woods again. No, we didn't even play outside after dark anymore. One can't know that for such an experience. My guess is as good as anybody, so if we was outside of our tent, why they were doing what they did. What I'm about to tell you is very easily the question, what is real or what's not? This happened to my dad and I. But now, 2 years later, I get chills just thinking about it. I know how it sounds. I wouldn't believe it either. Stretch me. We haven't learned this before. 2 years ago, my dad and I traveled to go camping at a spot out in the deep country. We did doing this. It was often a very nice time to go to real life. This place in particular was a nice spot. Hiking trails, zip lines, a big tourist but it has deep history. We had the bad land, you know? First night there, it was perfect. Families at other campsites, campfires everywhere, kids laughing, the kind of peaceful night to go camping for. Cooked hot dogs, roasted marshmallows, cracked over the computers, and made small talk with the people around us. A typical peaceful first night. The second night, the things started to change. Instead, noticed we were not even going to the park. Nobody else booked a site at first. For sites. A whole campground to ourselves. So, spent the day hiking, fishing, and taking it slow. At one point, listened to a scary podcast while sitting by the river. It's, why not lean into the spooky atmosphere? Thought it would be funny. At the time the sun started setting, we were feeling good. The little dogs for the trip. I was outside and laying after a long day outdoors. We
More of my
decided to head to the
soldiers
park
reached this
information
tomb
center and
in
charge our phones and grab some snacks
Afraid to
before
face
got
me
to
yourself?
Had your
walked up to our
droid not
campsite.
intervened,
Stood
I
around
would
the
have
center.
killed you with
The
ease.
woods felt different. The air was
It's okay, buddy.
heavier.
Just
Sky had
ignore
this
it.
weird tint. Twilight didn't even. And Dad turned to me and said, "See this feeling, Bob? We're in some kind of dream." He was right. It did. The forest felt endless, stretching out in every direction. The chest felt tight. The shape of fear of wearing alone. We did the same at death, just kept walking. Both of us glancing over our shoulders like we expected to see something but it didn't see it. At the camp, we stayed close to the fire. We didn't really have to hear it moved too. It was like hope silently make things normal, pretending nothing was wrong. Roasted marshmallows, played music, and smoked something to try and distract ourselves. Not the typical father-son one that you would expect. But by the time the sun hit below the trees, no longer see what was in front of us. Except fire. That's when the uneasy feeling had grown into something worse. We sat by the campfire and roasted some s'mores. It was saying about 9 o'clock. I heard a noise. The bang. With a boot shot. Came out of nowhere. I hold it close. I go through the woods in the direction of the river, maybe 100 yards away. Grabbed our flashlights and pointed them toward the south. There was nothing. The blueprint was below the eyes, nothing. Big grunt, Jones. Nervous laughs looking at him. Where was it? A few minutes passed. Running through the gap. Louder this time. Farther off, not the same sound. Simply. We shined our lights again, but the doors swallowed our flashlights, allowing us to see only the trees surrounding our tent. And the third bang, closer. That's when the fear hit. Whatever it was moving toward us. It was circling the campsite.
You're not getting
Then,
out of here
before we were
alive.
able to collect our thoughts, fourth bang happens. About 20 yards away, maybe less. That's when the real fear and adrenaline set in. Whatever high I had going for him was now long gone. My dad turned to me with his eyes wide. I saw the fear in his face.
I see you, Jedi.
He scrambled and threw the leg of the fire. Looking at 20 feet span, whatever was out there. And he scrambled into the tent, very heavy foot behind. The air was outside of the tent, the quickly down to the ground and wanted to run. Dad, taking a little slowly, following right behind me. As he was about to get into the tent, something about his bag hit. So close, I felt like the ground was falling. Dad froze, staring out into the dark. I said his name, grabbing his attention as he stared in shock. Dad quickly jumping into the tent. Butter, standing there. What's standing there? I asked. I don't know, sadly. His voice trembling. It's like a wall of darkness. Sadly, I vocifered as I buried myself under my sleeping bag, trying to move as quietly as I could. He sat there, clutching the only weapon he had, a small knife. Useless, really. It was all he had. And with this vibration noise that is still hard to explain to this day. It started low, like a hum. It wasn't just sound. It filled the air. It was a feeling inside of us, making our chest tight. I've never felt anything like it. Dad whispered, "You're right." I wouldn't answer. I just nodded. I was scared to make a sound, with the feeling as if we were being hunted. This went on for about 5 minutes, and we sat in silence. Then, this other sound. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't human. It was this
Enemy, here? I'm going to get you.
It sounded like a metaphor of stranger things. Nothing I had ever heard before. I stayed closed in that tent. Too scared to breathe. Too scared to move. I had this small vast window right by where I was laying, but I refused to look outside of it with the fear of being seen. Spitting out, trying to control my breathing. My dad still sat there with the knife. That's when the weirdest thing happens. In the middle of all the chaos. Blacked out. Either of us would ever try to fall asleep. My dad was still clutching the knife when we woke up. Down with the tent. I didn't look on my back. As if something was standing over me. My first thought was to grab my phone and check the time. It was dead. I asked my dad to check his. Dead too. Both had been fully charged the night before, making sure we had them working in case of an emergency. Stepped outside the Jeep. We spent 4 people in the tent, back to back, still scared out of our minds. Saw that it was still pitch black outside. The air was cold and still. Food we left on the table, food we not touched. The fire we stoked before diving into the tent, burned down to ash like it was never touched. No place felt wrong. I still went there. Waited the night out in the tent without saying much to each other, and I guess it feels. We went up in silence, not saying a word until we were in the fire. When we finally talked about it, we realized people had felt the same thing that time. Watched and hunted, like something was waiting for us to slip up. I told my mom when we got back. She thought we were crazy. Some people got drugged or held some weird drugs. It wasn't that. Whatever happened that night, I was real. Both experienced the same thing. To this day, I don't know what it was. I keep feels whatever you saw, it wasn't human. It wasn't natural. Never heard any similar story like that. I've been back to that camping site since. Worked without camping since. I don't think we ever will. This isn't about being the best. It's about being bad. This is hip-hop. It's the putting down.
P-I-M. I'm a pimp. P-I-M. Hey. Oh.
That's a whole on dial and down. I went for the summer, double revolver, hugging me with big spats, but nature. While the weather was like they were going something like and yet, I spent the night outside the window. It was a warm night in late June, a few summers ago this happened. I was 17 or 18 at the time. For context, there's a massive paper preserve near my house. I say massive, I mean it. It's close to 1,000 acres of time. To this day, there are still parts of it that I'm confident I haven't explored. Two of my friends and I agreed the second night camping in Oak Woods. Technically, camping there was strictly forbidden and borderline illegal. But we figured that there was no chance that we could back up
Imagine
to
the
this
artifact
vast
the
forest.
Empire would
Just
have
had to
missed
trust
if it
it
weren't for
as
your
possible.
intervention in back on the planet.
Sure it's worth the cost? I hear Project Augur came at a high price.
Stormtroopers and workers. Expendable resources.
You're a monster.
I am what's
It's
said.
just not the friend, Jackson and the God. I remember the film, Jack was telling me, going into my hair, he was packed up Jackson's car. The weather was like, not too cold, not too hot. Years later, the of us found ourselves, while we kept getting to the woods, so like left third. I can't die, I was feeling the alcohol, but I didn't have to watch the law. Chuck always carries with the self-appropriate flashlight. So the darkness of the tour is what about the mystery. My strange being was the way down. Searching through thick holes with the gallery of the big street. Looking for some flashlight on him. After close to half an hour at straight walk, the vehicle found ourselves down the side clearing. I was like, "Go stop, stop." I'll turn something fire was the next stop. Chuck wants to get something to eat up. After a few more minutes, he had a pretty decent fire going. Jackson reached into his bag and tossed me another frame. He then grabbed his JBL speaker and started playing some music. The vibe was perfect. We must have been talking and drinking for a good 2 hours. The rest was playing back. I could tell the other guys that just about ready to pack it up for the night. Jackson slipped on his back, started to let me start his gear down. Just that, Jackson and Christian reached the stop.
Weapons on him! Don't like our chances here. Alright, let's end it.
High alert. Seconds. I don't know how to describe it. The pistol was half over his eyes, but still sounded distant. Johnson quickly shut the door off. The three of us sat aside. They exchanged concerned looks. Through my heart, pounding through my chest. I sat there, closed his face for what seemed like forever, listening intently to
I've
what
taken the
surrounded us.
artifact back to my ship for analysis.
Almost
Maybe you could
inspired
break
to
it
know that
down.
happened.
Doesn't matter what you steal. You'll never understand it.
Yet you do.
You'll find out soon enough.
I'll take those odds.
It definitely doesn't have no flaws. Best way I can describe it is standard business compared to ballpark. Chuck finally broke the silence. Brian urging us to pack up and leave. Jackson and I disagreed with that plan, though. We might risk encountering whoever made the noise. I was not terrified of it. It was past 2 a.m. When I encountered this slave without trouble. Chuck hypothesized that whoever made that noise was probably aware of our presence. We could show him God. I didn't know what to do. On one hand, staying put violated every survival instinct I had. Packing up and leaving at this hour didn't seem like a much better option either, though. Finally, I cleaned out. I went to put the fire out. Chuck cautioned me against it, saying that a fire would repel any dangerous animals. Looking then to the true gravity of the situation smacked me in the face. Yes. But any time I was away from civilization, it was 3 a.m. There was an unknown entity somewhere in the dark. Another 10 minutes or so passed, and we had resumed talking, at a much lower volume than both began. I don't think any of us felt capable of listening just yet, though. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. Something small flew over the darkness of Jackson's shoulder and landed directly in the fire. With a firecracker. I screamed blood murder as it started sparkling in the fire. Something sprung up out of his chair and bolted into the darkness. Jackson and I scrambled to follow, leaving all of our stuff. Caught up with Chuck, the flashlight wildly.